It's been less than a week since a record-setting chill swept through many parts of the U.S., shutting down businesses and disrupting travel. And now forecasters say another freeze is on the way. According to the Commodity Weather Group, in about 14 days, frigid air will sweep down from Canada and across large parts of the states. Analysts say that could once again impact commodity prices. Commodities spiked last time due to higher demand and disruptions to refinery operations. And the costs of last week's so-called polar vortex are still being tallied up. By one estimate, the record-setting temperatures caused some $5 billion in economic damage. An estimated 200 million people were affected by the freeze. Major U.S. airlines canceled about 20,000 flights, and in so doing, they lost as much as $100 million. Local governments are also stuck with a steep bill. They'll have to pay for depleted reserves of road salt. That's the stuff they throw on the roads to melt the snow and ice. And then there's the overtime pay for emergency workers, plus repair costs for broken pipes, roads, and other infrastructure. And Ginger Vaughn has more on the economic impact of the polar vortex, especially on the ranchers in the U.S. state of Texas.
Freezing rain has been hard on his herd, but that's better than no rain, says Texas rancher Kelly Nickel, who fears drought much more than cold.
There's an old saying in East Texas, if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute, it'll change. We were having 15-degree mornings, and we had to go out and break ice for the animals to drink. You have to feed them more to keep them warm. They're going to eat a lot more. It's going to cost you more, and it's going to cost more at the sale barn. The unpredictability of the weather is such that that's why people have gotten out of the business.
Ranchers here in Texas say cattle prices have been going up for a while now as head counts have been limited due to last year's drought, which have diminished feed supplies, and now the cold weather. Cattle futures set a record high last week as frigid temperatures across the U.S. killed thousands of cows and caused supply worries among ranchers, wondering where next year's herd would come from. But some are making gains on record high choice beef prices, which have hit $212 per hundredweight.
You know, all over the country, we've had bad weather. In South Dakota, the 100,000 head of cattle were killed in an ice storm. And we feel that all the way down here, and it's hard for the cattle buyers to get back into the market.
Texas A&M agricultural economist David Anderson says bad weather also affects logistics and consumer behavior.
When we get big storms in big population centers, like the one we just had where 100 million people were affected by this Arctic deep freeze, people don't go out shopping because they can't get out. Can't buy at the grocery store, nothing moves. The other part is we get these big storms where the cattle are fed, and sometimes you can't get the cattle from the feedlot to the packing plant. Sometimes you can't get the beef from the packing plant to the stores anyway.
Ranchers in Texas say herds here are faring better from the cold than many up north, so they're lucky for the time being. But that could all change with the weather. Ginger Vaughn, CCTV, Grapeland, Texas.